What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. All right, we got some fun hobby stuff to talk about, and the first thing I'm going to do, because Brent is so tired, I'm handing it over to him, because he didn't want me to, so I'm going to do it anyways.
I'm ready for it.
What you been doing for hobby stuff? Just give me some hobby goodness. What have you been doing? I knew you've been doing something.
Well, I beat Gloomhaven. Me and my pals, we beat Gloomhaven, and we did it digitally, but I'm sure we could have done it with cards and dice if we all lived in the same place and were able to consistently get together, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Like, there's a lot more setup involved with each piece of the puzzle, so to speak. Like, there are, I don't know, 100 different pieces of terrain tiles in there. That it's they're like, oh, find F38 and E73 and put those on this corner, and then find all the tokens for those specific monsters and place them here, but don't show everything because you haven't opened a door yet. So, like, one person always kind of knows what's going on, right?
It is very nice to have the computer lay out the maps, put the enemies in place, adjudicate the rules. That it is pretty nice. Mm-hmm. It is pretty nice.
Yeah, I might bite the bullet someday and, I don't know, just start running through it online or something just to do it. Because, I mean, man, I know I've said it before, but I have this board game. It's staring at me. It's literally in front of me right now. And I played it like twice.
Yeah.
And I want so badly to go through it. So
it's legitimately a fun game.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, Gloomhaven is legitimately a fun game, full of interesting choices. The encounters are all tuned pretty well to be difficult but doable. You know, it scales with the number of people in your party, and it's always right down to the wire, or was frequently right down to the wire. And there were a couple of missions that we had to do several times and really try to optimize.
Oh, nice.
And the nice thing about doing it on the computer, I guess, is that you can't cheese anything. You can't be like, no, this is tuned too hard. We need to throw out one of the enemies, or no, the enemy did not roll that ability this turn, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
like just a full wipe.
Yeah, so there were a few encounters that were definitely on the too hard side of things, but we figured it out. We got through it. Congrats, Alex. Congrats, Mike. We got through it. We did it, boys. We're Gloomhaven victors. And then we went out and we bought Jaws of the Lion. So we'll do that one next. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
that's not digital though,
Jaws
is it?
of the Lion is,
or do they have that now?
Frosthaven is not yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I didn't know Jaws of the Lion was though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have that as a DLC.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Up on the Epic Games launcher, so you can.
Oh man!
Had to crack my login code to buy that DLC. And, and we'll get to that next. But yeah, you know, the game does come with minis. They are okay, not great, but they are. Kind of on the top of my pile of shame, or my top of my pile of things I'd like to get to sometime soon, because we spent enough time with those characters and those classes. It'd be fun to give them like a 2-hour paint job per mini. Nothing too crazy, because that PVC isn't really worth it. But yeah,
no, I'll have to break mine out and take some pictures, because I painted them before we started playing. And like I put in a little bit of effort, right? They look pretty good. I did some airbrush work on them. I didn't just, slap chop and done. Especially the sorceress with the 2 fireballs and, one in each hand.
Yeah.
One. Yeah, she looks pretty good. She's got some nice fireballs going on. So yeah, I'll have to take some pictures of those. They're not as bad after they've been painted as they appear at first. The PVC looks pretty gnarly, but once paint went down, I was like, oh, this is not so bad, All of that being said, though, Gloomhaven, I think it's just Gloomhaven, is their Cephalo or whatever is doing a Kickstarter for literally every single unit in the game. It's like 750 different models. So you don't have to use the standees, which is insane.
Yeah. So at Adepticon, they were giving out a couple of sample minis for that campaign. I think they had a total of 6. They had like random boxes that they were given to people as samples, and I think most of the folks I saw got the Brute, got an Inox Brute, and yeah, he seemed decent. Got some paint on him. He's all right.
Yeah,
I don't know. Always good to give people another pathway into painting minis, and Gloomhaven opened a lot of folks' eyes in the realm of very big, complex, nerdy board games. And if you can get those folks just a little bit further into getting some brushes and paint, let's go.
Yeah, I think that it's going to do it for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of these games that have come out, they're based off of licenses. The Witcher game is now being shipped. Editor Matt and I went in halvesies on that thing like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's coming finally with a bunch of models. And they did this whole thing where they're like, hey, like we're making these with cool models so that you can paint. Brendan turns phone on silent. It's no big deal.
I had an alarm set to wake up at 12:30 at night so that I'd remember to record a podcast with you, Casey. Yeah.
Right, record a podcast. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that. I mean, it's clear that we're not in the same room when we record, but we're also in an entire continent apart, basically, like East Coast, West Coast, United States. So it's a 3-hour time difference. So, by the time my kids go to sleep and I'm like, all right, I have actual time, Brent's like, it's like 1 a.m. So
you put your kids to bed and then see if I'm awake and around, and
pretty much
we go for it.
Yeah, just hit that button. What was I saying? Something about Gloomhaven.
Oh
yeah. So The Witcher. But like so they said, hey, we're doing all the models, we're gonna do them real good, they look good. And then they did this thing where it was like an upsale where they would paint them, like prime them white and then wash them sepia.
Oh, yeah.
And they had some weird like term for it. I don't know what it was, but it's just sepia wash over the models. Yeah. This is a long time ago. We talked about this.
I remember
like years
talking
ago.
about this. I don't remember what they called the special technique of the sepia wash, but no, they definitely had a word for it.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we I doubt that we ended up paying for that. I don't know why we would. But either way, I think games like that, Gloomhaven, now this huge Kickstarter coming, are definitely gateways into miniature painting. There's tons of Steamforged games that are licensed that have come out. Dark Souls was a huge one, I think, for a lot of people. I wanted it. I bought all the Dark Souls stuff.
Do you think a lot of people actually painted that though? That's always the thing. There's that hard line between dropping the money on the Kickstarter and actually painting it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I paint a lot of models and I haven't painted a single one, and I really, really like Dark Souls. So, like, yeah, it's one of those things that maybe, but I still think it's a good like gateway into it. And all the minis coming out for Gloomhaven, like, man, I'm tempted, even though, like I said, I've only played like twice, but I'm still tempted because I tried when we played. I went through my own miniature collection to get proxies for those standees. So they were like skeletons and some other stuff. And I got my skeletons out, and it's like, okay, that one's like an archery kind of one. This one's this, whatever. I know what they all are. And it felt good. There's all the minis on the board. So it was really cool.
Did you use the sun drop technique?
Is that what it is? Stupid. God, that's so dumb.
I'm getting all these old Reddit posts like, should I buy sun drop or not? Sun drop versus no sun drop. Like, what do you guys think? Yeah.
The answer is no.
And I got a link here for a guide to how to do your own sun drop, a homemade sun drop.
Is it Seraphim Sepia?
If we do a search for homemade sun drop, you can learn how to do a single color contrast paint.
If it's even that, like, I don't even know what they used, but the crazy thing is, and maybe this is why it took 3 years, they're like, okay, there's like 150 models in this box or some crazy thing like that. So we're going to go through and individually, wash every single model. I mean, unless they're dipping them at the factory or something, but that seems like a lot of effort.
Whoa. So we're definitely getting tutorials for homemade sun drops, but there's also a homemade sun drop, which is a sweet summer drink in the Carolinas.
I was going to say.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
That makes sense. It does. What's in it?
It's a sweet citrus soda native to the Carolinas. It's a refreshing summer treat.
Oh.
Now that sounds good. I'd pay money for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll pay money for that. Sun drop in your models? That's odd. That's weird. I mean, like, it makes sense to a certain extent, but I don't know. I guess you could see them a little better because it's not white PVC.
Oh, no, like, even for just the purpose of playing with them, I think a simple wash over a white primed mini is actually a great way to get some board game pieces working for you. I think that's a really good strategy, and people should learn how to do that as a skill if they just want the absolute basic of home prep on their minis for board games.
I mean, it wouldn't take much, right? You just get a couple of bottles of wash and prime them, white, and go for it.
We need to get Rob to popularize the sun drop technique.
Sun drop technique, yeah. Just rattle can black, rattle can white, and then dip the entire model into a vat of I don't know, whatever the sepia contrast paint is, or speed paint, whichever one that's called. You could do that pretty quick. Couple of steps. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why we're going to tell Rob. We should just do this ourselves. The sun drop technique.
Get like 500,000 views for our sun drop technique video.
Yeah, come on. I mean, these Witcher games are about to drop. Like, people got to know. They're like, I didn't pay for that upgrade. How do I get there? Without spending a bunch of money. Like, I don't know. That Army Painter dip can sounds pretty good.
All of a sudden, we owe royalties to Poland for stealing that Witcher sun drop tech.
Stealing sun drop. Okay, well then I'll use blue wash and I'll call it moon drop. Suck on that, Poland.
That's how you do it, Poland. Yeah. That feels good. It feels good. Normally we make fun of the French for absolutely no reason. It feels good to spread it around a little bit. Yeah. And Quebec.
I mean, you might as well. Yeah. Like, come on. Who are you trying to fool?
I bet if we had like a world map and we could do a search of the local areas where different painting techniques are really popular, and we typed in sun drop just to see where that was a really common and just like a hip way of preparing your minis for games, I bet it would just be a giant red dot right on Quebec.
You're right in Poland. Yeah, just that's it. That's the only thing that they do up in Quebec. They just sun drop their models all day.
That's a guess based on nothing, but my gut tells me it's true. Yeah,
right. And your gut is generally right
about
on.
These
so
things.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be sun dropping any models anytime soon. If the French are doing it, I don't think I can follow.
But it is a brave way to paint your minis, and we're
fair. Yeah, that is true.
If that's the foot in the door that gets people going, go for it. But don't be paying any Kickstarters to sun drop your minis, because then the Kickstarter is going to take a couple more years, and it's still just going to be a wash.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was the big argument, is a bunch of people who were planning on painting them are just like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Seriously, what are you like? Where did you get this from? Where did you get this idea? And why are you calling it this? This makes no sense. So, yeah. I mean, contrast paints were out 4 or 5 years ago. So, I mean, that already was there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Watching it. Yeah. Anyways, more hobby is good. Board games are an entryway into painting miniatures. I think it's great. Just don't pay someone else to do it for you.
Not like that. Not like that. Yeah.
Not like that. I mean, if you want to pay someone to paint the entire box, like, yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yep.
Probably be a lot of money.
Okay.
Hopefully the game's good too. We don't know.
We may never know, but hey, you and Matt can find out, and I wish you luck. Do it.
We're gonna try.
Do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else you got for us?
Well, I suppose I should give an update on my finger situation.
Yeah.
Just because, such a big thing last time, whole safety episode. Still sucks. Still can't paint, really.
Your middle finger is all blistered and infected, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much infected, but it definitely looks pretty gross, yeah. Yeah, it's not great. So I decided to just paint with my left hand for the last, week, which has been an interesting journey, honestly. I thought it was going to be worse than it actually was. Turns out that, if you apply certain techniques, even with your other hand, like, it still makes sense. Like, if you know the thing, right, you know the order of operations, then going down that path is like, okay, I can't do this nearly as well, but I do understand the concept, right? So yeah, I think, God forbid something terrible happens, but if something did, they had to lob off my middle finger, we'll figure it out.
In your situation, I think it'd actually be better if you lost the middle finger instead of having it like swollen and painful, and you have to avoid touching it at all costs. I think it might just be easier if you, it was missing and you just lashed the index and ring finger together, and
yeah. Well, it's funny because like I'm trying to paint like that, like with my thumb and ring finger on that hand, and it's like, man, because it's not muscle memory, it's not something I've done. Sure. Normally that finger just kind of hangs out, right? And so now it's like I'll paint for maybe a minute, and it's like, man, my hand is killing me. It's like cramping up because I'm like holding it in a weird way,
At that point, you might as well just use your left hand. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. So the last video I made, people just were like, well, why didn't you just paint with your left hand? Like this like casual thing. Some people were like, oh no, you should, because it would be funny. But then other people were just like, you just go for it. Just left hand. And I was thinking that's crazy. Turns out not so crazy. Yeah. So far I've painted how many? 5 models. And they don't look too bad. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Still, gnarly. Still a thing, I guess, and I'm working around it. I just kind of decided last minute to just pivot and do a left-handed painting video, because why not?
Well, that's cool. I mean, it makes sense that so much of what we learn as we're getting better and better at mini painting really just is that order of operation stuff of knowing what to undercoat things with, knowing how to thin your paints, knowing what color combinations are cool, all that stuff. And I guess to a point, slopping paint around is a little less skill intensive than, penmanship or something like that. Yeah,
because I can't write at all with left hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've tried that doesn't work. No, weirdly though, using an airbrush like was a non-issue with my left hand.
Yeah, it doesn't require that much dexterity, does it?
Yeah, no.
So all of the people like talking about trigger control with thumb versus index finger, it's almost like that is not the limiting factor of anybody's skill with an airbrush whatsoever. Yeah, right?
Okay, I was gonna say
use your left thumb
before
and see how it
you
goes.
said that. I mean, if you want to just like, goon hand blast paint everywhere, sure. Like, no, that was the only thing that was actually missing. I was using it more like a single action airbrush where it's kind of on and off. Whereas, there is that bit of nuance with my index finger on my normal hand, especially when I'm doing like small details or trying to get a color in somewhere and really just lightly get it in there. And I think it doesn't necessarily, because I'll technically agree with you, right? There is a point,
the best kind of agreement,
to when, but like most airbrushes, right? The kind of base set airbrushes do one main thing. And I think you start getting into some of the higher end stuff and the smaller needle sizes where you really are trying to exert control over really where that stuff is. When you start to get into that, like just little minute trigger pulls, down and back, so that you're actually controlling airflow and paint flow. Where, I mean, maybe I'm sure I could learn to do it with my thumb, but it feels weird. Like I feel like my index finger just makes sense. Like there's just enough little, twitches in there that get there.
But your left
that's what
thumb
I practiced
is
with.
Untrained potential. It's raw talent. It's the building blocks of something
raw
great. Yeah, that left thumb doesn't have to unlearn any habits. It's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's that whole thing of like being really good at something when you first try it, but then you start actually trying and you get worse until you then start to actually get better. I forget, that's actually a thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a scale, a curve that you go on for learning things. Maybe a learning curve. That could be it.
Type in the comments if you know what Casey is talking about. Yeah.
I swear it has an actual name, but it's a learning curve. Like it just is. So yeah, like it's unconscious competence is like to a more technical term of like I'm doing it really well, but I have no idea why. Yeah. And there are 3 other steps after that until you get to like mastery,
Well,
yeah, so, maybe that's what happened. Left-handed, just painted like 5 pretty decent minis. Although I did use a Sharpie for some of them. I bought these like felt-tipped, like paintbrush tip Sharpies. They're actually from Zebra. They're not even Sharpie brand, but like surprisingly good. Like the color and the coverage and being able to get in there, like not bad at all.
Okay.
That's definitely a hot tip. If you're trying to do trim or something, like I did Space Marine trim with my left hand, and it looks better than most of the painted trim I've done.
Interesting. All right, I'll look into this.
Yeah.
I've tried using the super tiny, I think they're felt tip Sharpies, the black ones. So
like micron
Sharpie
ones,
black, pens, and they work pretty good, and then they dry out after a minute. And they just like the ink stops flowing because I think they're just not supposed to be going over the texture of flat plastic with absolutely no wicking capability. You need that paper wicking the ink out of the tip. I don't know.
Yeah, it pulls it through, right? In this case, because they're metallic pens, and they're like marker tips, like like the fancy art markers with the brush tip kind of thing. Like they're definitely flowing nicely.
You said the Zebra brand?
Okay. Yeah, Zebra. Yeah, I found them at Walgreens. They didn't have the Sharpies, they had the Zebra, so I bought them.
Well.
Turns out they're
it's a hot
pretty
tip
good.
Of the day right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people paint trim with the metallic Sharpies, but those things are like little nub ends, you know? They're not really, they don't seem like, you know, you could really use them that well. Like you really have to go over the stuff. This one, like you can use the side of the brush, you know, and actually edge things. Like I edge highlighted all the metallics on the Space Marine and some swords and axes and stuff, and it like, yeah, okay, let's go. And it's bright. It's like Vallejo metal color aluminum bright. So it's bright stuff.
Real bright.
Yeah.
Real bright.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So yeah, good hot tip, I think.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right.
You got any fishing hot tips?
Oh, I've got my fishing lures right here, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So you might have seen on Instagram, I posted up pictures of my 5 Space Marine lures for this year. So I'm double dipping this time. I'm combining the third year of participating in Fabulous Marines in June, and I'm combining that with my second year of attempting to go fishing using Space Marines as lures, and I'm multitasking. I'm putting that all together, and so I made some, Pride-themed Space Marines, and then I drilled a hole through them and shoved some wire up in there, and put a barrel swivel on, put a split ring, put a treble hook, and they're ready to go. And I'm just waiting for a really nice day. I want a sunny day so that the footage is beautiful, and I also need a low wind day. I like to go fishing in a really small canoe.
Yeah.
And wind is really detrimental to trying to paddle around and go fishing. So I need a really low wind day where it's beautiful out. Just kind of waiting for that, and then I'm going to go fishing. But a couple of years ago, did the fishing with Space Marines, and it worked surprisingly well.
So funny.
I've got
it still kills me. That's by far my favorite video I've ever made.
I've got a few like little editing quibbles with that video, but like it's one of the favorite ones I've made too. And so I'm ready to do it again and to do it better. And I learned how to do it last time, but this time I've got these multicolored Space Marines, just really bright rainbow colors because they're Pride Marines, and I think it's gonna work great. I've got a secret secret fishing hole where I'm not gonna tell any of you where it is because I don't want you taking my secret fishing hole. And
it's in Canada.
Sure, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not gonna.
Could
be. Tell you. I'm not gonna tell you if I pack up my passport when I go fishing with Space Marines.
I just know that the lake you tend to visit is literally cut in half by the border, isn't it?
Oh, am I going to the Upper Peninsula with
I don't know
the borderlands?
No idea. Borderlands.
I got my secret fishing hole, and I'm not going to reduce it to I'm not going to tell you where it is because I don't want you internet people out there trying to catch my bass. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think though with the Space Marines, like you have the advantage, and they're definitely going to go for those. Yeah. So if anything, it's only going to prove your point even more.
Yeah. All these people out there with their MEPS French spinners aren't going to catch anything.
Come on,
catch anything with that. Rapala's original floating balsa wood minnow. You're not going to catch anything with that. You need the Space Marine tech.
No.
Yeah.
That sweet tech.
Well, a couple of years ago, even the Blood Angel caught stuff.
That one surprises me a little bit.
I caught a lot with the Imperial Fist, which is a bright yellow color. I caught a surprising amount with the Ultramarine, which is a bright blue color. The way I painted it was fairly bright blue. He even caught some stuff with the Chaos Marine. But this year, bright colors. So Fabulous Marines is an event that's organized by the mini painting community, especially the folks over on Twitch. And June is Pride Month, and so it is one of the ways that the mini painting community celebrates that. It's also a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, and it's the third year in a row, and it just seems like the event is growing bigger and bigger, and I've really been enjoying it. So if you are interested in learning more about that, there's actually a really nice looking website, fabulousmarines.com. It's got a schedule of all kinds of mostly Twitch streamers who are painting something somehow related to Pride themed Marine or other mini. The rules are pretty loose on that. But Pride Month, we're going to see a lot of companies doing their Pride posts, but with the mini painting, it really feels natural and wholesome, and it's a lot of fun to be painting with bright colors. So I'm glad that this event has kept going, and it seems like it is a solid pillar of the community now, and I expect it to keep on going. No pressure on giggling geekette there. If you falter in future years, someone else will pick up the reins and keep it going. But it's really been an incredible community-led effort, and I think it is going to keep getting bigger and bigger with each year that passes, and that's awesome. And this year I'm doing. My contribution is going fishing with pretty painted Marines. So, I mean,
I'd say that's pretty valiant effort on your part. Like that's not just painting a model, right? Now you're taking painted models, you're converting them into something, and you're literally throwing them in water. Yep. Like that's definitely, you're putting a lot of faith in like the line and everything to not lose these models.
As long as I don't lose all 5 of them. I am making sure that I'm getting really good pictures beforehand.
That's a good idea.
So that we'll always have the memories just in case,
Yeah. Well, and if it's part of a video and you get hooked on a rock or something, that's what it is.
So as far as fishing lures go, they actually work. They're very durable when they're catching fish. The way I construct them is I drill a hole through the mini and put some pretty heavy duty or heavy gauge wire straight down the center, and so it's structurally very sound. The only problem is if I'm casting and I just cast it right into a rock or something. There
goes the leg.
Basically like throwing your plastic mini at a rock. Yes.
Yeah, you cast those pretty quick.
Like a 7-foot long fishing pole, so you're like slinging a plastic mini at a rock.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, so I could see that. There goes
those bass. They like the rocks, so it's a high risk, high reward. That's the game,
right? Exactly. Although with your canoe, I would imagine you could get pretty close.
I love fishing in a canoe. It's so that's good. Nice. Yeah, it draws like an inch or two of water. You're just floating around and anywhere you want. So when the weather turns good again, I'm gonna be out there, see what I can catch, and try not to cast at too many rocks. But I've got my minis. I got 3 coats of enamel on there, like spray enamel from a rattle can. So that'll be pretty durable. Call, yeah. But hey, I did paint a few of the bits with speed paint, so I'm a little worried about reactivation. You know what I mean?
Just being tossed into water over and over. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You never know.
After I catch my
that enamel,
my 7th pike, my. And my 8th sunfish, and I look at my mini and like, hey, we're right about that reactivation.
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that'd be a good thing to just throw in and be like, oh, look at that. No reactivation.
Hopefully not if I covered it with 3 coats of enamel. But
I mean, come on. Yeah, I would hope at a certain point, right? I mean, even the version 1.0 speed paints are like, if you varnish them, it was literally fine. So
nobody will believe you if you tell them that, Casey.
I mean,
the
that's
internet
fine.
refuses to acknowledge that fact. So yeah,
like in videos, so many times there have been a series of events where I've gone and zenithly highlighted a model through my airbrush with white ink and proceeded to immediately tear all of that ink off on accident using just contrast paints. And like, that's how it goes. It didn't fully cure. It just didn't.
Different hobby supplies have different properties, and sometimes a strength becomes a weakness if you put it in, different conditions. So it's all about learning your supplies.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've done that while filming several times and just like left it in as like a warning of like, no, you need to varnish this. And then, that's like for me even more just to remember to do that. Varnish it's never an issue. It's the same exact issue. So if white ink can do it, I'm just saying.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Man, I can't go this weekend though. This weekend I've got my college reunion, so I've got to go and see all those doctors and lawyers and bankers and be like, oh, so what are you up to?
Yeah.
You're married with children? Cool. Yeah.
What do you do?
This is a picture of Snuffles.
Painting these fishing
this
with
is my man Gordon here. He's the orange one. He's always eating them snacks.
Yeah. That's got to be an interesting conversation. Everyone's saying, doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor. Like, hey.
It was really fun at Adepticon when we had lunch with Marco Frazzoni and Ben Comets. And I'm not going to say who's who, but they're like, I used to be a doctor, and now I do this. I used to be an architect, and now I do this.
It's insane, right? It's such a weird world.
They're fun at reunions too, I'm sure. So anyway, that's what I'm doing this weekend, and maybe next week I'll go fishing. We'll keep you updated. Hopefully by the next Paint Bravely.
Of course.
Goodness, we gotta get this done in June.
At least a couple weeks. Yeah, you kind of got to get it done. You don't really have much time. Like, technically, we're recording this, and it'll be June. Oh, no, it's June for you. It's not June for me.
It is
We are
June
literally
for me.
in 2 separate months.
It is June 1st. And before I forget, I heard a rumor that the podcast, The Independent Characters, is coming back possibly on June 1st. So my phone buzzed a second ago.
It's like right now.
It's telling me to resubscribe to The Independent Characters on wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah.
That would be interesting. I mean, we'll certainly know by the time this comes out.
If you're not familiar, Independent Characters is a 40K podcast, and several years ago now, when I was getting back into the hobby, it was the first podcast I found in this hobby, and it's everything from lore to rules to painting tips, and very well organized, very professional. They've taken a break a couple of times, but there are rumors that it's back for at least one episode, so that is something I'm looking forward to in the coming days.
Nice. Yeah, man. When I was getting back into the hobby, I picked up on that Healing Hammer podcast, and they've been done for a while. I don't think they've come out with a new episode in a few years, but I really liked that one. That was a good one.
The good podcasts leave us too soon, and then you're left with limited options.
Limited options. Yeah. I mean, to be
We're
fair,
glad you're here. Thanks for listening.
You want longevity. Exactly. But you want longevity in a podcast, then you got to temper your expectations. Like, it has to be at the sweet spot, that Goldilocks podcast zone. because either it's here and it goes, or it's just so good that it transcends.
Yeah.
And then it just has to be around.
The more effort it takes to put out a podcast, the more likely it's going to be difficult to meet that bar, and they stop and they take extended breaks. That's the way it goes. But if the only thing required is that the kids are in bed, that the cats are at least half in bed, and then
that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that don't matter. That second one, it's not really important.
No. Don't offend the people.
All right. What else? It's your turn to give us some. Start a Paint Bravely conversation, right. Casey.
Paint Brave. All right, this is gonna be pretty brave because I kind of messed up and I'm doing something out of the normal. So a few years ago, for I don't know, Mother's Day or some such, I gave my mom don't spit that out. I gave my mom a Bigfoot statue. It's like, I don't know, it's a good 2 feet tall. It's a pretty decent sized statue. It's one of those garden statues you put outside, but it's like a decent looking Bigfoot. Like, he doesn't look derpy or anything. He looks pretty good. He's been outside. He's kind of faded at this point. So, my mom, she watches the channel. She knows what's going on. She asked me to save him, give a little repaint, fix him up a little. So I said, of course, yeah, no problem. I'll just airbrush in. There's some nice transitions, browns and tans and whatnot, pretty easy. And I went to take him outside in my backyard to hose him down, right? Because he's kind of covered in bird crap and stuff. And, because I figured this might make a fun video if it all works out. I'll record it all. So I got my camera, set it up, real good angle, real good lighting, and I turned on the hose, and he knocked right over and broke into many, many pieces.
Well, you got it on film, and so
yeah, I know. So at the second it happened, I was just like, oh damn it! But at least I was recording. I don't know how to. Yeah,
immediate it was silver lining.
It was a weird. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So as part of a potential video at some point, it just got a whole lot better. Because before it was oh cool, Bigfoot repaint, cool, it looks great. Now I'm okay, now I need to get some plaster and some mesh and do the whole foil ball thing and sculpt some fur. I guess the good news is that I only broke one of his arms off. The rest of him is fine.
That's an opportunity. So, you need to call Trent from Miscast and have Trent sculpt an alternate arm or an alternate appendage.
Yeah. Just oh man. You see that opens the whole box, right? You get your tentacle coming out that side,
just
and it's kind of whipping around, oh, yeah, exactly. I get a hand holding the boombox. He's swinging. It's the other hand that kind of swings behind,
Oh, it's that pose? Oh, it's the swinging arm.
It's the very classic
picture pose. That's how you know it's Bigfoot. Of course. Yeah.
Exactly, of course, because that's the original. So, yeah. It's very iconic. It's usually sat kind of behind a tree, so his head and arms kind of poking out. You'd see him from inside the house. So he's been around for a while, and I definitely want to fix it up, do it right, But I mean, some kind of boombox missile launcher, a ghetto blaster.
I was gonna say
that sounds pretty good.
But now that you tell me that it's the swinging arm pose, then the arm actually matters. Before, it could just it's a one arm Bigfoot. What do you want?
Yeah, right.
Some Bigfoots are one armed.
Yeah, I guess it matters. What arm is it? Yeah, okay. It's his right arm, so it's kind of the front facing one. That's the one that really matters.
Okay.
Yeah. The back one's kind of behind his leg, so it's less of an issue. I broke off the good arm. Yeah.
Well, I've got confidence in you, and I'm sure that's a golden piece of footage that you got there of just you turn the hose on and just immediately murk that Sasquatch.
Well, the thing is, like, for a minute there, it was going all right. I was cleaning that guy off. I was really getting in there. Yeah, pretty much. And I got a little close. My hose, has good pressure. Had even like a pressure tip on there. And he just started tipping, and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. And there he goes, just shattered arm. I have most of the hand, weirdly, where it like hit. The hand is intact, but the elbow joint, that's 40 or 50 pieces. So it's most of the elbow. Like, luckily, how it fits back together, the kind of like inside of the arm has a good attachment point that's like a clean break. And then it's just a big gap on the outside. So I have to like rebuild, a good amount of the arm, but at least it's in the proper position, or it should be.
Could kind of go like shoulder right into hand if you needed it to, right?
just a real good nub poking out. Yeah, I could do that. He'd be like, it's fine. Here. Yeah. Happy birthday again.
Well, that would have been a fun project, and it still may be a fun project. A big miniature, a 2 foot tall Bigfoot. Definitely something for the airbrush, I think. Definitely something.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely an airbrush job. A pretty simple one, I assume. It should be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of something that's been on my plate. Yeah, that's for sure. Man, I've been working on, I built a tiny Conquest First Blood playset. Yeah. That was pretty cool. I got all sorts of models and scaled them down teeny tiny, printed them out on my printer, which we should talk about some of that stuff, the new Anycubic M5S that I just got. Because only like 2 episodes ago, we were talking about, 3D printing and wargaming, and is it worth doing, and all this stuff. And I know that one of the things I said in that was like, I don't understand why like leveling is even a thing. If they can if it literally just goes straight up and down, right? Well, it turns out that this printer, you don't have to level anything. It just auto levels and then keeps up during the whole print. So if anything starts getting weird, it just corrects itself.
My God.
It's insane. It's insane.
Future isn't all bad. You heard it here first. No, and there's like weird things like the build quality in itself is way better than the other printers that I have. It's way heavier. The chassis is all metal. Everything feels super sturdy, which is new. It's weird. The FEP is the newer like flexy, kind of opaque, like weird film, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's totally different, and it's like it's stretchier, so it can go faster, it can pull off easier, but it's apparently way stronger too. So that's cool. Like they're just going through the list of all the things that we were talking about basically, and kind of had something to say for each one. I thought it was kind of weird, coincidental. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. That is real good to hear.
Yeah.
And, these 3D printer companies always just kind of copy each other, and then the generations march forward. And
yeah. I mean, if everyone else is going to copy Anycubic during this generation, then I think it's going to be a real good time. Because, yeah. Oh, they even put little handholds on the vat. You don't even have to reach under it anymore. They actually put freaking, like, spaces to put your fingers to pick it up.
Right.
And on the sides of the printer, they actually have cutouts for your hand to pick a printer up.
Okay, I've seen some of them with that. That's okay.
Okay. I think that's the first time Anycubic's done it. They're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know. There's all these like weird little like life improvement things. I don't know. It just makes a lot of sense. I had a failure. One out of, I think, almost 15 prints that I did for this last video. One failure, and it stopped the print immediately and said, hey, you need to look at this. It failed. Like it completely did not attach or whatever. Turns out I had spilled some resin, like pulling off the plate. Some dripped down and went underneath the vat and cured to the screen. I had a screen protector on, so it was all good. But that's why it couldn't shine the light through properly, so it didn't work. And it just stopped the print. I have to wait for hours until it was like, oh, it didn't work at all. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Like little things like that. Just, it was kind of nuts to be having that conversation and then all of a sudden be like, oh, I guess we're just
make
there.
A new list of
that's good.
Wants. Yeah, new wish list.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I don't know what they are right now because I feel like I just got all my wants met. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy because like 3D printers, the resin ones, in some ways they are such a simple device. A linear actuator, the Z screw up and down. You know what I mean? And then
I know what you mean.
And then like a cell phone screen and a bucket with a clear bottom, and that's about it. But as we're going through and people are finding things to be annoyed about and people are getting ideas of minor improvements, it is fun to watch the march of progress on this stuff to see where they actually can find a way to make it better for the next year's product. Cool. And I mean, I still feel that anything, any cubic photon or better is still absolutely usable for making minis that are going to be fun to print and fun to paint. But
I mean, even back in the 2K days, they were still printing it at like whatever 35 microns or whatever millimeter, 0.05 millimeters. Pretty decent even then. And now we're up to like they're talking like 23 microns. So it's like a 10 micron difference, which I'm sure matters to, people who make jewelry. But when you're talking about like a 28 millimeter model, it's pretty subtle, The 12K screen, I know that's the first one that's out on the market right now for like consumers, as far as the 3D printer goes. And I mean,
I think
it looks pretty good.
8 times as many polygons though. If you go from 0.05, whatever, you ignore me, but like,
yeah. Well, there's some ratio that you're supposed to print out depending on the resolution of your screen. I've just recently learned this, like in the last couple of days.
For layer height,
for exactly. Layer height according to your type of screen.
If you want
so if you're like at 8K, you should be printing at 0.03 or something. I forget what the going rate is.
There's the layer height for the layer lines, but also if you're thinking of the size of each pixel, like it makes sense that ideally the 3-dimensional pixel should roughly be cubic, and not have like super tiny footprint for your 3-dimensional pixel, and then it's like a tall rectangular prism.
Right.
So if you figure out what the dimensions of the pixel are for the screen and just have the height kind of match the length of a pixel, then that makes sense. So
although this, and I don't know what the deal is with this, I heard it on like Vogman or something. This 12K screen has rectangular pixels, like every other line or something. I have no idea why. And it sounds so weird.
Yeah, I
don't even know how that works. Yeah, like what does that even mean? Rectangular pixels.
Sounds like a lie.
It does sound like a lie. I don't know. He was showing it made sense. And he's like, I have no idea what this is for. Somehow it still works, but
well, set your layer height to whatever you want then. Just throw up your hands and give
literally
up
what I'm going to do anyways. No, I was testing prints out at like 0.1, which is like FDM, layer heights.
Have every fifth layer be super good. Tall. I don't know.
Just add half an inch. That could do some interesting things. I wonder if you could slice that to just be like stretch Well, if somebody's like, there's just a guy standing there, right? It cuts off at the neck, just right below where the chin starts. Just give me like a half an inch of neck. I want like 20 of those guys. Yeah. Just stretched necks that just go up. And they're like sculpted still, right? It's just stacked.
We'll get you a ZBrush subscription there, Casey. Oh.
Right. That's fair. I could do that in ZBrush. I think Blender, I could do that too. Or like Mesh Mixer or something.
Absolutely. Modified next to your heart's content. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Good stuff right there.
Get some stretchy neck Marines and yeah. Be seeing over all the cover, getting shot, but
but looking good while they're doing it.
Yeah, that's the modeling for advantage thing. Tell you not to do.
Talking about sneaking in a little bit of extra height. I followed through with what I was talking about last week, and I bought myself a set of 5 enhanced casters for my rolly chair. And so
nice.
So they're like basically big rollerblade sized casters for your chair, and you just pop out the crappy set of 5 rollies that came with your office chair, and they're a pretty standard mating hardware for, you know what I mean. What do you just
mating hardware?
I'm making the symbol of jamming a wheelie into the bottom of your chair. Something. Whatever.
Yeah, mating hardware.
All right, you got me, Casey. You got me.
I mean, come on. All
right,
that's low hanging fruit.
Pull out a wheel and you jam a new wheel back in there, but the new wheel is an extra inch and a half long, and that matters. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it does.
So, look, what I'm trying to say is my desk was a little bit too tall before, and I had my chair up as tall as it would go, and still a little too short, still hurting my shoulders a little bit trying to get on the desk to and stuff. But now, get that extra inch and a half of height coming straight from the wheels, and plus it feels good to have a chair on rollerblades. It's nice.
Because they basically are like rollerblade wheels,
this
right?
is super minor, but just a minor improvement to the hobby zone, and not even worth a quarter point, I don't think, on the overall hobby score, because we're at a 10 already.
Well, yeah, because you could, yeah, right. You're already in that level. Like, yeah, because at that point, like where you would assign a point to the hobby score, it would be not necessarily getting wheels, but getting adjustable desks.
Yeah. It's just getting really good ergonomics for height of your chair compared to the height of your desk, and as long as that matches up, you're good. You got the points for that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Man, I haven't even looked around and calculated recently. Like things are looking up in here. I got the heater, I got the air conditioner in here, so like it's an actual temperature controlled room again.
Got some lizards in
like
your
last
couch.
Summer, not so much. I had the lizards come in when it first got warm. Haven't seen them since. And man, have there been lizards in my backyard this summer? Like an astronomical amount of them. Like I can go around and find 10 or 15 of them at any point. Just walk outside and they point them out. They're everywhere. But I've only had the one come in so far this year. So seems all right. I haven't had any bug or spider issues. Although, I mean, there was a stink bug that came in when I was putting my desks together.
I guess lizards probably do eat a lot of insects.
They do, yeah. So definitely want to keep them around, yeah, because they're gonna go through and find all the stuff and eat it.
All works out, I guess, huh?
So,
yeah,
the circle of life.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I had something kind of fun happen to me the other day. I was in the grocery store. Me and my buddy Alex were getting some Memorial Day hamburgers.
Right.
And somebody comes up to me. Kyle comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I watch your channel. It's so good to meet you. I thought you were in Maine." And like, somebody found me in the wild. That's never happened before. Kyle was the first one to find me in the grocery store in the wild. Not like
nice.
like
not like in a hobby shop or something.
Not at a hobby convention, just down to Hannaford's, and got a selfie right there in the meat department, and yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Good to meet you, Kyle. Probably doesn't even watch Paper That's the cool. podcast, but whatever. Yeah.
I mean, come on. If he's at a grocery store and he's like, it's Goobertown, like, dude listens to Paint Bravely. Come on.
I will say, if you do see me in public, it's okay to come say hi. Like, I enjoy it. I enjoyed the heck out of meeting Kyle.
Yeah. That's really cool. Like, just meeting people. Because it's like instantly like, hey, miniatures are the best. It's good. I love it.
I mean, Kyle might be the only one to get mentioned on Paint Brave for the podcast, but I'd still be happy to see you in the meat aisle, in the dairy aisle, getting some frozen broccoli. Like, come say hi. It's all good.
Yeah. What's the best aisle to approach you in? I'm just thinking, like, meat is time sensitive. Did you get your meat before?
It's in the basket. It's fine. It was just going straight to the grill anyway.
Probably.
It was
fine. I'm just saying. If you're in the frozen section, grab yourself a bag of Rocket Pops. Like, man, I gotta get these in the freezer.
That's a good point. I don't think, if you see me in the grocery store, I don't think there's any aisle where you're like, better wait till Brent's done picking out his tea and get to him in the potato chip aisle like that. No, I don't think you need to like stalk me and wait for the perfect aisle.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I'm thinking that might be hilarious. Though somebody's like,
"Well, deciding between picking out antacids." I gotta don't want to interrupt him. Ketchup. No, he doesn't want to talk to me now.
Ketchup.
Are you here to help me with my catsup problem?
Yes. God, man. Oh, that doesn't get old. Well, that's pretty fun. But you grilled some burgers, played some games.
Nah, I was helping Alex move. It was, again, we're kind of at the end of the month here. And moving day. So
Moving day. That's good.
Good to meet you, Kyle. What else? Huh? I don't know. That's all that happened to me this week.
That's it? That's all you got? Yeah. All right. Well, so yeah, like, getting back into some 15 mil models, right? Doing the Conquest. I asked people for more suggestions, as I have on this podcast. Still some really good suggestions out there for 15 millimeter conversions, if you will. Star Wars still up there. I think is such a cool idea. Like to see little walkers riding around and everything. A lot of mentions of Blood Bowl, Mordheim, which are kind of okay. I see those. Then I got some weird suggestions. I got one called Argatoria. Apparently it's like the biggest small scale war game there is right now. And I looked it up. It's by Spellcrow. Right. So like a reputable, company that's been around a while. It looks pretty sweet, actually. And they sell a boatload of minis.
Oh, you're getting in deep.
I feel like I kind of am like that. I mean, I think they sell 10 mil models, but you can also buy them to 3D print. So it's like, okay, I got a little, 50% up, whatever. It's all good. But then I got a couple other ones, Space Weirdos and Sword Weirdos from Garsky Games, which I took a look at, and it's actually pretty cool. So like drive-through RPGs, people make up games. They put little digital books together, PDFs that have the art, have all the stuff that you would normally see, but you can buy them for like $5. So there's an absolute ton of skirmish games on there for $5. I mean, some are more, but it is what it is. But these games were $5, and I picked them up, and they came with like all the rules, obviously, in like 16 pages or something that tells you how to build all your stuff, and it's it's all model agnostic. Sounds pretty cool. There's like some scenarios, but you can build kind of whatever you want, and it's all just it's 5v5 and rules like you've heard of in a lot of other games. One of the interesting things that I saw, it was that they do the whole the dice number goes up, like the D6, D8, D12, that kind of thing, but they don't go past, so you're not doing the weird like I have a D17 or something. Yeah, like none of that business. It's like D6 to 12, I think, was where they were at, like the normal D&D set.
Okay.
Right. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then a lot of it's like alternating activations and things like that. It's just taking from a bunch of games, putting them all together into this kind of funky little narrative and going, yeah, these are the rules. Like I really liked that idea. So yeah, man, seems pretty sweet. I'm gonna try it out and see what happens. Yeah, so I don't know, 15 millimeter games, even though this one, Space Weirdos is not a 15 mil game, but like it could be.
Just tickles you, right, huh? No, the minis that you were showing in those videos, they are very cute. The minis that are specifically designed for that 15 millimeter scale, like they have all of the personality of the normal, 30 millimeter scale minis. But like the way that they're simplified is very cute. Like the way they're kind of shrunk down and some stuff doesn't even matter, but they keep the key features of the model that give it its personality. They keep the face and the weapon and just a little bit else of the character of the minis. And
like a slight pose and a little bit of movement, but basically big fat head and a huge weapon on a tiny little guy.
So this isn't just necessarily taking a 30 millimeter mini and just printing it at half scale. What I'm talking about is the ones that are really designed for that purpose.
Sculpted for that scale.
Yeah. They're cute. They've got a ton of character. Like they're obviously not chibis, but in some way it kind of reminds me because it's just like the essence of what makes that mini fun, and they're cute.
Yeah, it's on its way. It's definitely they're on their way to that. Like if their head was twice as big,
it's not
you're there,
giant head, but they're really emoting. A lot of them are like, got their heads back yelling or whatever, and they've got their giant axe, and they're...
Yeah, you got to like really exaggerate the features for that kind of thing. Across. But like it looks really cool. Yeah, and to paint up too. Like, man, like, okay, if one of the Chaos Warriors, right? Just a dude without a shirt on. Maybe he's got like a piece of like chest armor or something. So most of his arms, his back, his legs are all showing, all that stuff. You can basically get like a full base coat done with that. You just load the brush once and you got all the skin done on the model. Same thing for like any kind of highlighting or anything else. It's just like, I just tap here, here, and here. Those are kind of the areas where that makes sense. And all of a sudden, like, holy crap, that's like better than I've painted anything ever. Like, it's just so simplified because it's taken down to that smaller scale that everything is exaggerated and it just looks like you're a better painter than you are. I don't know. Maybe that's why I like it so much. I just feel like,
they were looking good.
This is looking pretty good.
And you were getting them done when your finger was on its last legs. You're pushing through. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I did that comparison of like, here's what they look like before and here's what they look like after, trying to like actually paint them with like a busted hand, and it's not good. It's so not good. So yeah, I'll get better at some point. We'll see.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, until then, I'm definitely going to be at least collecting some 15 millimeter models. Yeah. Oh, man. You got anything else hobby-wise? Any fun hot tips?
Nah,
clear the fishing tips are coming,
just,
but...
wear an oven mitt and let your hand heal and then get back at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's the plan too. I'm just gonna, yeah. Now that the doctor even told me like, oh, those like finger glove things, just like put a few of those on and leave it. It's like, oh, geez. For like prepping food and stuff that like if you cut yourself.
Finger glove?
Just like, little finger condoms, basically.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the like, the cool skater gloves, the fingerless gloves is what I was thinking.
The ones without fingerless? Yeah, that'd be the opposite of what I need.
That's what they...
You want to make it worse? Yeah, go get those.
So the kids doing the monkey bars had to wear the fingerless gloves so that they, didn't get terrible blisters on their hands, but they could keep doing those monkey bars.
Yeah, it's very important for bicycling.
Oh, sure. I guess those people do it.
Yeah.
You got your paintball gloves,
Well, you gotta have the fast fingers, right? A little bit of
get the angel
trigger work.
Yeah.
Oh man, speaking of paintball, what?
I don't know where this is going. Continue. Go
I know you have no idea where this is going. No, this is good. This is a good one. Speaking of paintball, okay, let's start over. Something that's very similar to paintball that I've been mildly interested in and watching a lot of videos about is airsoft. And someone that we know plays a lot of airsoft these days.
True.
Yeah, and we do sort of unfortunately have to talk about it.
Yeah, we have learned that Luke from Geek Gaming and originally Luke's APS, Luke's affordable painting service / Luke's something Scenics.
Gaming Scenics?
No, there was an in-between phase where
I forget what he
Luke's
changed
APS,
it.
but he had AP&S, something professional Scenics. Like it wasn't Luke's.
Was it? Not affordable paint service anymore?
Yeah, he had an in-between phase where it stood for something different. It don't matter. It don't matter because he's retired.
I don't remember that.
He's
retired.
Off into the sunset with airsoft markers just strapped to his back and all kinds of sweet, like low riding holsters, and he's looking good. But,
dude's gotten way into it. Like, and I mean that's certainly not the reason that he's like not doing YouTube anymore. I mean it might be partially because I'm sure that's pretty fun, but I don't know. I feel bad because like Luke's channel was one of the big ones when I kind of was getting back into the hobby, and it was like just happened to be browsing on YouTube, and he's making these huge boards and doing all this stuff, and I was like, man, it's insane. Like I don't know if I could ever do something like that. And now like this mini conquest video is like my best attempt at making a tiny version of the thing that he can do really well.
So Luke has retired from YouTube. He's moving off to greener pastures. I hope he comes back in a couple of years, at least for the occasional reunion video,
I'm sure we'd talk him into that.
But he made a going away post, and there were so many comments on there just saying, how much he has helped people over the years, how inspiring all those terrain builds were, how much fun they were, and I certainly fall into that category, and you do as well. So it is sorry to see him move on from making YouTube videos, but we're wishing him all the best and wishing him
absolutely
the best of luck with his airsoft pursuits and beyond.
Yeah, man, he's. I'm hoping he starts getting into airsoft videos. That's what I want to see from Luke. That's what I want to see. I think he could do it. Just doming people with BBs.
He loves
so
that.
Good.
He loves
so
that.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think I would. That sounds good. Shoot people in the helmet with a friggin' like a weighted ball. Yeah. Well, all right. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Closer to the mic. Oh yeah. That's staying in.